Hello, good morning and welcome to Athavan newspaper highlights. Today is Saturday, 26th of November 2016. This is Edward with the highlights of today's English newspapers. As usual, we have three newspapers for the highlights: Daily Mirror, Daily News and Ceylon Today. Firstly, let's have a look on the Daily Mirror. The main headline says, Nori Estate Superintendent's murder, Athavan and 17 others sentenced to death. UPFA member Anil Champika Vijayasinghe alias Athavan, a former chairman of the Teraniyagala Pradesh Sabha, and 17 others found guilty of murdering Nori Tea Estate Superintendent Nihal Pereira on July 5, 2013 were yesterday sentenced to death. High Court Judge Devika Abhiratna sentenced them to death after observing that Senior State Counsel Shanil Kularatna had proven the prosecution's case beyond reasonable doubt. Strict action against hate speech. Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumarthunga. We note that there are numerous complaints against hate speech and incitement to racism. Former President and Chairperson of Office for National Unity and Reconciliation Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumarthunga said yesterday that hate speech had arisen in Sri Lanka in the recent past, which challenged the initiatives being taken by the government to heal our country after decades of bloodshed and destruction. Avantgarde ship to be released on bank bond. The Avantgarde ship, taken into custody and held in detention at the Galle Harbour for alleged transporting of illegal weapons and explosives, was ordered to be released on 35 million rupees bond by the Galle Chief Magistrate Nilupuli Lankapura yesterday to its owners, the Sri Lanka Shipping Company. Cocaine detected on importers info. PNB searched container on a court order. The 200 kilos of cocaine was detected on Thursday by the Police Narcotic Bureau when checking the containers after obtaining a court order based on the information provided by the sugar importer, police said. Secondly, let's move to Daily News. The main headline highlights murder of Nori Estate Superintendent, death sentence for 18 suspects, convicted of 10 charges, 3 suspects acquitted. Former Teraniyagala Pradesh Sabha chairman Anil Champika alias Athavan and 17 other suspects were convicted and sentenced to death over the murder of Nori Estate Superintendent Nihal Pereira in 2013. The 18 convicted of 10 charges including the attack on his security guards and inflicting grievous harm and conspiring to murder and were sentenced to death by Abhisavala High Court Judge Devika Abhiratna. The convicts are to remain in the Velikada prison until the president sets the date for death by hanging. Another highlight says, Central Bank Treasury Bond issue. Full COPE report distributed among parliamentarians. Copies of the full Committee on Public Enterprises report on the Central Bank Treasury Bonds investigation were distributed to all members of Parliament yesterday. Speaker Karya Surya at the commencement of sittings yesterday announced that the full report containing 13 volumes has been kept at the tables of all 225 members. Another headline says, Court calls for JMO report on mesle. The Colombo High Court yesterday ordered the Colombo Chief Judicial Medical Officer that a medical report pertaining to former Economic Development Minister Basil Rajapaksa be submitted in court before December 7 to ascertain whether Rajapaksa should be allowed to go abroad for medical purpose. Rajapaksa, the first member of the Sri Lanka Podujana Party whose passport was impounded by court in connection with the alleged fraud at the Divineguma department, sought Colombo High Court permission yesterday to temporarily lift his travel ban. Raviraj murder case. State witness confesses to involvement on Karuna faction's request. The state witness for the prosecution in the trial in connection with the murder of former TNA Jaffna District MP Nadaraja Raviraj yesterday informed the Colombo High Court that he too was involved in committing the murder of Raviraj following a request by the Karuna faction, a breakaway faction of the LTTE. Finally, let's move to Ceylon Today. The main headline says, Nori Estate Superintendent's killing, 18 sentenced to death. external students lash out at University Grant Commission. Circular robs their right to education. Approximately 11,000 applicants, including the petitioners, were prevented from registering for their external degree programs of the Columbia University due to the University Grants Commission Circular number 932 and Circular number 13 of 206 stated in a fundamental right petition. 10 petitioners who were unable to register for external degrees at the Columbia University filed this petition through attorney Manjura Balasuriya in the Supreme Court. Interpol to grab Lanka INOS editor. Chief Magistrate issues a warrant. Gambaha Chief Magistrate Kavindya Nanayakara yesterday issued an international warrant for the arrest of Don Pradeepa Sandarwan Senadira, the editor of the controversial web news portal Lanka INOS. The warrant was issued when the case of the assault on former editor of Rivera newspaper Upali Tennakon was heard yesterday. Senadira is accused of contempt for publishing on his website a photograph of the suspect even before he was presented at an identification parade. Smart meters to cut power consumption. The CEB is planning to introduce a smart meter to all electricity consumers in the country shortly. Deputy Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ajit P. Perera said with the introduction of such a new electricity meter system, around 50% of the current power consumption could be saved. He said switching over to LED bulbs also contributed to a greater reduction in power consumption. With that, let's come to an end of today's paper highlights. We will come with more news tomorrow morning. Thanks for listening to other newspaper highlights.